Bitcoin mining continues to pick up steam in the United States, and one of the companies building the infrastructure stateside is Greenville, South Carolina-based Gem Mining. They've mined over 600 Bitcoin in the last year, and an active miner fleet they have close to 15,000. Gem Mining is definitely poised for a big 2022. So for more on this, let's bring in the CEO of Gem Mining itself, John Warren. John, it's great to have you on the program this morning. Just want to ask you broadly about where we're seeing a lot of the development. You're not the only Bitcoin mining company around the country. There's all these kind of companies, some of which are publicly traded. You're private, popping up. What's the infrastructure look like here in the United States?
Well, I think once you've seen what you've seen over the past years with China shutting down, Kazakhstan shutting down, North America and specifically the United States has really become the Bitcoin mining capital of the world. And I think that's a positive thing for the United States.
I mean, with that said, where are we seeing the biggest growth? You're in South Carolina. We've heard a lot about Texas. Some cities in Texas saying they've had people showing up from China just go to City Hall and say, where can I set up operation? What kind of demand are we seeing in the South?
Well, I think it's all based on energy. One of the misconceptions about our industry in general is that we're not friendly to the environment. Most, Gem Mining, my company, we're 97% carbon neutral. There are very few companies in the US that can say that. But a huge component, as you know, is the energy. And certain states are very friendly to the miners. So although we're headquartered in South Carolina, our mining operations are really in about 6 states right now.
How do you get to 97% carbon neutral? And if you can do it, why aren't we seeing other mining operations follow? Is it a cost issue?
I think you're seeing a lot of miners get there. I think one of the biggest misconceptions, again, is that we're not carbon friendly. I mean, you compare us to Patagonia. Patagonia runs all these ads. They say they're environmentally friendly, but they're trying to get to carbon neutral by 2026. Gem Mining's already 97%. I think what you can look at too with the mining is not only is it oftentimes carbon neutral, but it's also a great grid stabilizer. And you saw this last week in Texas specifically. There was a huge surge of energy. A lot of power would have gone out for a lot of consumers, but because of a lot of miners there, they were able to shut down the miners and then redistribute the power to the consumers. So it's a great grid stabilizer, especially with the renewables in Texas.
I mean, but I guess for the not inclined, how do you explain to people how a company like yours or the business model that you have get to carbon neutral? Because people might not understand, okay, wait, how is that possible because it uses so much energy? Is it like you plant a tree to offset that? Like, how does your business model get to 97%?
Well, I mean, the cheapest forms of energy across the United States are renewables and nuclear. So, I mean, if you're wind, solar, natural gas, and nuclear, you're carbon neutral right then. So we use very, very little coal. And I think that's the biggest misconception about the industry in general.
To what extent do tax incentives play a role here in terms of the growth we're seeing as states become more and more competitive because the U.S. is kind of the primary destination now for a lot of these miners that are coming in from China and Kazakhstan? How does South Carolina compete with a Georgia or a Texas?
I think what you're seeing on a statewide level is you're seeing a lot of legislation passed across the country. Kentucky really led that. But the miners want to go. One of the biggest things is getting an exemption for the sales tax for all the miners. I mean, we have over $300 million deployed in miners. That's a huge sales tax benefit if you don't have to pay it. So, ultimately the miners are located in states where they have that sales tax exemption.
Well, John Warren, Gem Mining CEO, it's good to talk to you today. Really appreciate the time.